Welcome to Closet Thoughts. It's the 9th of April. We're going to talk about spirituality and what does it look like? Because many people may define themselves as spiritual because a lot of people are rejecting traditional religion but are still interested in spirituality. But this can be a vague term. What does it really mean to be a spiritual person? Does it mean you have dreadlocks? Does it mean you have a bald head? Does it mean you have a yoga mat? You use cool lingo like we're all one, stuff like this. Ultimately, this is a question that is addressed in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. All of the knowledge I've been drawing on so far for these videos has just been from the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So towards the end of the chapter, Arjuna asks Krishna this very question. He says, what does a spiritual person look like? How do they act? What do they do? And the first thing Krishna says is that a spiritual person is one who has renounced the desire for sense gratification, or one who has tried to find a happiness beyond external happiness through our senses. Because ultimately an intelligent person sees that any happiness we find through our senses is going to be temporary and it's going to be ever-changing. So we can use the example of ice cream. You might like ice cream, a certain flavor, and it's a hot day, and it's very pleasurable to get the first scoop of ice cream. And even might be pleasurable to get the second scoop, but the pleasure is a little less. And after that, it's even a little less. And there's a point where you're going to just not want any more. So not only is happiness derived through our senses temporary and changing, but it's also very limited. And so if we want lasting happiness, which is beyond limit, which can actually continually increase rather than decrease, then an intelligent person realizes there's another way to find happiness, or at least wants to explore if that's possible to find another type of happiness. And so this is the second part of Krishna's statement, is that they renounce the desire for external happiness and look for internal happiness in the self. And so the fact of the matter is that our mind is naturally in a state of balance and peace, although that's clearly not the case in this world. There's so much stress and anxiety in the world, and it's because our mind is polluted, it's contaminated. In the same way that the external environment is contaminated, our mind is the seed of that external pollution. This chaos in the world is because there is chaos inside our own self. But our mind is naturally in a state of peace, so we simply just need to uncover ourselves from this contamination. And this contamination is due to this duality of I like this and I don't like that. So this is the function of the mind, is to accept and reject. So I like this, I don't like that. I like hot weather, I don't like cold. I like Apple products, I don't like Windows products. And so you get one thing and you're happy. If you don't get it, you're unhappy. And so again, an intelligent person understands that this is not a very a lasting way to find happiness. If we really want happiness in an ever-changing world, then we need to find it beyond the ever-changing material energy, because we're never going to be satisfied. Trying to find happiness in material pleasure is like trying to grab water in your hand. It's just going to keep slipping away from you. And so we need to find this happiness within ourselves, because the nature ultimately that is described is that the soul is called Sat Chit Ananda, or eternal, full of consciousness and full of happiness. And the highest happiness, or the natural position of the soul, is service to God. This is the highest. And we can see that as an example. If somebody is greatly in love with someone else, as a friend or as a partner, then they can be beyond this material up and down of life. It might be cold out, miserably cold and windy, or it might be blisteringly hot outside. But if you're with someone you care about, then those feelings of love help you to go beyond the ups and downs of life. So waking up this love in our heart, which is natural, is the highest goal of life. And so as we can see that manifested in individual relationships within family, friends, loved ones, we can see that this love allows us to transcend the ups and downs And so the source of all happiness, the source of all love, this is God. And so developing a personal relationship with God, awakening these natural feelings in our relationship with the Supreme Being, full of all happiness, this is the easiest way to get free from our mental contamination. And it's a process of self-realization. It's a scientific process that we can all go through. It just takes some practice and some time. And so ultimately, at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna simply says, I've presented to you these teachings, now you choose to do with them as you like. He doesn't say, this is how it is, now act as I told you. He's just saying, I've offered you the knowledge, now you do as you like. And so in that same way, I'm trying to present these videos in a way that people can take it or leave it. But if you're an intelligent person, then maybe you're thinking there is some truth in the Bhagavad Gita, and you can try to apply it in your life. So please let me know if there's any points I can clarify. I hope this video was helpful and instructive, and I would be grateful to help anyone else with any questions in the future. Thank you as always for listening, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow. Hare Krishna.